All right, and 365 Days of Horsemanship, day 321. So, yeah, good day today. I'm still slightly slow mentally, but it's definitely better than it has been, and it's definitely, like, I can work with it. Like, I can work with this level of, it's very much improved from where it was. So I'm really feeling grateful for that today. I had a lovely session actually with both horses. With Mia, I did about 40 minutes with her just in where she is at the moment, which is like a slightly smaller paddock. One of her friends is lame, so she is keeping them company, and she's obviously the best choice to do that because any chance to do some restriction with her is kind of like an obvious choice to make, just for like laminitis protection and weight management and things like that. So yeah, she is the benefit, I think, for me. And I used to find it like, because it's only the two of them in there, I can't like take her out really because I don't want him to get stressed. And I think in the past I'd have seen that as a challenge, whereas now I see that as kind of like an opportunity to try something new. And so today I just fancied a little bit more movement in the session. So I took the stick with me. I have like kind of like a pretty long schooling whip that I like to use, that's just like rope the whole way, like no like leather bits at the end or anything like that. And just played around, and I really felt like we were playing. Like, she was really motivated to just do something. She's just a bit bored. She's like a little bit concerned about everything. She's like, I don't understand why my friends are over there and I'm over here. And even though she's got loads of grass comparatively to how much grass she might have had in the past, and we've restricted her because we've had to restrict her like quite significantly in the past, and like she definitely has plenty of like fiber to eat, but I think it's a case of firstly the grass being greener on the other side. She's surrounded by pens where the grass is greener, and her friends on the other side where not only is the grass greener but also the space is bigger, and so she's very preoccupied with things that are happening outside of where she is, and so she's actually quite keen and motivated to be distracted. And so we did some work on, we started off just by like taking a run like up and down the field together, and I wasn't really sure when I took the first run. I was thinking, oh, I hope she's gonna have like a good ear flick, because of course, you know, we come up into the trot and the ears are back like normal, and then, you know, I really hope she's gonna like have an ear flick that I can reward before we get to the fence. And luckily I think there's so much to think about when you get to the fence that there would pretty much always be an ear flick. And so that was really nice. We did that a few times. We were able to go look at some stuff together, able to take a walk together. Yields were a little bit outside of our comfort zone and possibilities, but that's okay because we can try those another day, and I'm always really happy to be moving. Yields are like tricky and fiddly for me as well, so I'm quite happy if we just like rock around. And so then we even managed to get up to a few of Kaylee's kind of like boomerangs that she does. I learned the boomerang pattern, I think initially from David Lichman many years ago, as a Pirelli pattern, where you kind of like send them out around a pole, like a cone, and they like come back to you, and it's like the first half of a figure of eight to like get that draw. I feel like Kaylee has developed this, this is Kaylee from Braveheart Beasts, has developed this kind of like boomerang for circling, for Liberty circling, where you kind of like, you're walking at like shoulder to neck, and then you kind of like send them out, like turn around against them, and they come and find that spot again. So I was able to practice a few of those. I was even able to practice a couple where we went up into trot. And then I was even able to practice a couple of like sending her out on a kind of like stick to me circle, where we're just walking, like I'm walking parallel to her and she's trotting. Excuse me. And yeah, that went really nicely, and it was just really fun. Like, we just played with a bunch of stuff. I definitely think that I was so delighted by deciding to leave and then have her following me almost all the way to the gate that I couldn't resist turning back and hanging out with her again. And then we kind of got in this tricky spot where I'd been leaving on a really good moment, and now I was stuck in this kind of like, oh, now we're at the fence, now we're concerned about stuff, now I need to find a good moment to leave. And I did in the end find a good moment, but I drew her back towards me and, you know, did a couple of little bits and then I left. But definitely I think it was a good reminder to just enjoy and appreciate the feeling of knowing that I'm leaving and she would like me to stay, and having that like desire and letting that desire build as part of what strengthens the connection of the relationship. So that was really nice. And then I went down and did about 20 minutes with Lawrence, and that was really nice too. I felt like the scratching, we did do some scratching, I initiated the scratching, and I'm getting better at, when the scratching finishes, like taking a pause and then quite quickly moving to a new spot that's further away. And then normally then that's kind of like just removing myself a little bit from being right up there next to him helps him to just kind of like regulate himself to like find a new focus. And yeah, I felt really happy about it. It felt really healthy. It felt like we did some scratching together. There was some good moments of curiosity and better feeling. I was able to come back and do some more. I knew where I was going. Like, there wasn't a bunch of like him moving his feet to get me in the right place. I really felt like he felt like I knew everywhere that he wanted scratches. He didn't have to show me those things, and like he had had enough scratches from me, and that was really powerful. And I also managed to play the handprint game until we had a better feeling. And that is huge. The level of comfort that I felt from him with me at the touching distance today was a lot more than I felt before. I did work a little bit on some supportive leadership. I think I've talked a little bit in the past, probably in March time when I first came back from Elsa's, about the really heavy realization that I spent a long time teaching him to be comfortable and to sort of dissociate and ignore me and not necessarily search for curiosity, and acknowledging back then that actually some of the times the reason that progress is slow for us or he finds things difficult is because I haven't set up those basic pieces to where he's really looking for curiosity. And I did, I think, a session where for about 40 minutes I just walked and walked and walked and walked and walked, and he didn't do a category change for like 40 minutes. And that was really heavy realization for me. And I have just like the last couple of days got really back into my dancing. And so I just put some music on today and just like bopped about in the field. Like, I'm quite happy. Like, I could be dancing for a while. Like, I'm really quite happy doing that and just like being active around him. And then I think because there's a little bit more energy, that kind of like motivates him quicker, distracts him more from what he's doing. And I was able to get a couple of category changes, which was really nice. Again, it was a case of recognizing when it was becoming too much. And after the third category change, I could feel there was this like tension where he was actually finding what I was doing quite stressful. And at that point, I was able to come back into flow with him, find a couple of small focus changes to get to the touching distance, and then play the handprint game. And I also think that's really powerful too, because like Elsa talks about training being fundamentally about contrast. And I think that's true across like all kinds of training, and like that's what sort of sets up the motivation for learning, is creating these environments where it's like one thing versus another thing. And those things don't need to necessarily be in conflict or to be uncomfortable or to be like forced on like you, or to feel really like an imposition. It can be something as simple as something that's like slightly more distracting or maybe slightly more concerning at a level that is tolerable versus something that's actually comparably fine. And so that's kind of nice, because it's made the touching game, rather than like the crescendo of like the most tricky thing that we're doing and also the thing I want to do the most, not the most difficult thing for him in the session. And actually it's been really great, because now the most difficult thing in the session for him today was actually the thing that I was quite happy doing. Like, I'm quite happy bopping around, having a little dance, just chilling. You know, I feel like I'm getting a little workout in. I feel happy about that. I'm not really watching him. I'm not like waiting for him to do anything. Like, ultimately, you know, when he does a big category change like that's going to catch my attention anyway, because I'm not looking for like these tiny little ear flicks and eye flicks and movement of the neck and things like that. I'm not interested in that anymore when we're just playing with like my movement in the space that he's in. So yes, I was really happy with that. I was really happy with that. And I feel motivated about tomorrow, which is really nice. I think tomorrow with Mia, I have a 12-hour shift tomorrow. I'm back on another run from tomorrow. So I think my plan with Mia is just to do her plats. Because her plats really need doing. And that's kind of like nice, easy, low pressure for me. Like, I know I can just turn up, switch off. If I've had a long day, it's cool. All I got to do is turn up and do at least 2 of those plats. I can feel good about myself and say, yeah, well done, and go home. And I don't need to like put that extra pressure on myself. And yeah, with Lawrence, I don't know what I'll do tomorrow. But I feel a lot better after the session I had a few days ago where I just laid down with him. I feel a lot better about like turning up and presenting him with that and just being like, oh, like I've come to just be a part of the herd for 10 minutes because, you know, I had a really long day. And yeah, just I feel more comfortable and confident presenting myself in that way. So yeah, so really optimistic feeling, which is super nice.